Hi, best friends. How are you? It's your friend Riri. And I was thinking, that's my true goal, is to feel like your best friend. Because I know a lot of you have best friends. I know a lot of you have friends, but I also know that there's a collective of people who are similar to me, maybe, that we just don't find our people. And maybe we will, but we just don't. And we find people and we find them come and go in and out of our life, and we really just lack somebody to truly feel like at home with, like to have a beautiful conversation full of depth and meaning and equality in terms of what we put in and what we receive from a particular friendship. And I feel like a lot of modern friendships and relationships are very shallow in a way, and people kind of focus on the very material things in life, and it's very difficult to find humans nowadays. And a lot of people do wear a mask. A lot of people kind of mask their feelings, run away from emotions, because it's difficult to face some of the things that bother us on a daily life, our emotional being. And so I am a person of incredible depth. I was born this way. I don't remember actually being a child. I know I had a childhood. I remember it, but I never saw the world in a childish kind of wonder. I've always seen, the struggles, the hardships, the depth of trauma around me. And it wasn't that I really was put into specific situations that were meant to make me that way. I just saw the world for what it was. That's why I believe that I've been here many times. And even when I was born, my mom always tells me, like, you were just like over it. And I 100% feel that way. Like, I was born and I looked around and I was like, not this again. Like, you didn't make me a bird like I asked. Why? You know what I mean? And I don't know if anyone else feels like that I had the need to say it. But anyway, normally I'm in my car. Today I'm here. And me being from another culture, I don't do tarot, like I said. I don't do that much cards. I don't know I don't know the storyline. That's not my thing. But to me, cards represent energy, okay? And they have different meanings, and I do believe in that. And my number one goal here is not to be another reader and a person who tells you something that is going to happen, because I don't want to be tied to specific outcomes, because I myself have been in places and spaces where I'm looking for an outcome with a particular person or in a particular situation, and I hear it and I get attached to it, and then you wait and you anticipate, and it comes and it doesn't come, and you like pull on little strings, like little glimmers of hope, trying to figure out a meaning in something. And I don't want to make people feel that way, because I feel that none of the outcomes are set in stone, as everyone says. Like, I know everyone says it, but we still have that human nature to want to know what's going to happen, to want to know that it will be with that person, or that we will succeed in this, or whatever. And I don't want to be another person to tell you that something will occur, or the lover that you have been dwelling on is coming back and you're going to marry them. Because I could maybe even sense that, maybe I could pick that up, you know what I mean? I could do a spread right now, and I could get a beautiful spread about how everything is going to work out for you, and you're going to see it on the other end, and you're going to be like, oh my God, yay. But that might not be your story, or that might be your story later down the line with a completely different person. And there's no way for me to know. Like, I'm not hearing so-and-so in this country, you know what I mean, on a random Tuesday, you're going to meet so-and-so from down the street and around the corner. Like, it's just not realistic from this space, you know what I mean? And I'm not that, I'm intuitive, I'm an empath, I feel energy, but I can't, and I've had dreams that were real, but it's very difficult for me to pinpoint anything, you know. And sometimes sometimes I experience a dream or something like that, and there's just no way for me to know who it applies to or what's it about, unless unless it's specific. But even when it's specific, it's still, there's so many like nuances, you know, and meanings, and it's like, it's just not, it's not a space that I want to put anyone into, is what I'm saying. And so, but I do like the energy that the cards provide, and they give me like a guidance as to what maybe I could speak on and provide some sort of an insight or depth or a different point of view, to talk like a friend, you know what I mean? And then you take that and use that in your life if it applies to you, okay? And so the cards that I took today, under the deck, was the Three of Spades, which is technically, I guess, the equivalent of the Three of Swords, which is heartbreak, which is sadness, traumatic, events. Basically, a tumultuous card. And the card that I actually picked to focus on, I didn't pick it, I drew the card, was the Four of Diamonds, which is, I guess, maybe Four of Pentacles. Again, like, I know that there's a comparison, but the cards are not the same. The tarot cards they have a lot more information, a lot more depth, and you're able to get a bigger story than just playing cards. But I don't, like I said, I don't want to tell anybody's particular story reading cards. I want to see something and see where that takes me. And that can apply to you, and you take that and you grow with it. This is like, to me, this is the bottom of something. This has occurred, and this is what you're trying to overcome, and this is what you're focusing on to try to get to. And so the number 4 is a number of stability. And I know that in architecture everything is actually triangles, you know what I mean? But when we think of stability, we think of 4. We think of equilibrium. We think of 4 equal sides, a square. This is like comparing a 3-legged table to a 4-legged table, okay? You're missing, with the 3, you either lost something or you're missing something, and you're trying to get your bearings in life. Whatever that may be. It could be a love situation. It could be business. It could be anything in your life, health, anything. You're coming from a place of lack, from a place of loss, from a place of heartbreak, from some sort of a traumatic event. And this actually applies to my life right now. And the 4 diamonds in particular, diamonds are purity. Diamonds are strength. Diamonds are the epitome of value in our existence, okay? And the number 4, like I said, is stability. And so to me, this is a card of foundation, a newfound foundation. The bearings that you were trying to gather after this is what you're currently working on obtaining in your life. Stability. And so when I apply this to a romantic setting, to me, this means that in order to start anything new, you have to have a foundation for yourself, a central nervous system reset, a readiness, and the ability to accept, the ability for someone to come and eat at the table, the 4-legged table that you're rebuilding for yourself. And this is something that I talked about before, but not on here. We're always finding ourselves with people who reflect ourselves, right? Reflect our weaknesses, reflect our lessons back to us, you know? And a lot of times we're not ready to start over with people, romantic connections. After heartbreak, it's very difficult to trust. It's very difficult to build a foundation because a rug was pulled from under you. You know, the stability that you had was broken off and you're left with shambles. And so you can't accept someone in your life until you rebuild the stability internally. And for the people that are dealing with exes, for the people that are dealing with situations where somebody caused the heartbreak and you miss them and you want them to come back, what I want to remind you of is when you go through a heartbreak, right? When you go through trauma in your love life, it's a tower moment. I don't have a tower card, but it's a tower moment. Your house that you have built, your security in a romantic sense is shattered. It's to the ground and it's just a bunch of jumbled rocks, okay? And whether it's another person that is new or the person that comes from before, they either come back or a new person comes in and says, hey, let's have this together. Let's build our castle. You can't build a beautiful new castle on a bunch of broken rocks, okay? You can't start fresh in the same location where you were before, where you were left to rot, where you were left in shambles, where you were left with, like an earthquake, everything, just a pile of everything on the ground. You know what I mean? And so you have to be persistent in your stance on only starting over when you have the foundation, when you realize that you are a diamond, when you realize that you are everything that anybody could wish for, when you have a fresh new ground to break, to build a foundation with somebody. Because you cannot build a new castle on an old foundation. You cannot build a new house on a foundation that's cracked, on a foundation that's broken. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of exes, a lot of people who have hurt you, a lot of people who maybe unintentionally caused you a lot of pain and left you there broken with cracks in your foundation, with cracks in your beliefs, in your self-esteem, in your entire being. And they come back and they say, but I'm better, but I'm fixed, you know, I worked on myself, I did this, let's fix this. Sometimes you can't fix that. You have to fix yourself first if you want to go back to somebody from before. And there's a ton of people that I see, like when I listen to readings, there's always people in the comments, or some are like, no, bring me another, bring me a new one. But in that sense, I don't feel like a lot of people are really ready for a new one, because they are watching, they're watching readings about a past love, or they're watching readings about an upcoming love, but they're so attached to somebody coming. You have to be on your own four legs even. Sometimes we crawl out of situations, like on all fours. because it's the only way that we could feel the ground. It's the only way that we could stay stable without toppling over. Sometimes we're on literally all fours, trying to rebuild ourselves. And somebody new can't come into your life and fix you. They can't. You have to be able to set this up for yourself. And so when somebody from the past comes back, you can't rebuild on the same ground. Even if you choose to rebuild with the same person, you have to move to a new location. And by new location, I mean a new state of being. It can't be based on where you were before, because that foundation is broken. And so you have to start from fresh. You have to move your presence to a new frequency. How you were before and how that person was before did not work out, and it will not work out. All you will be doing is repeating cycles, you're going to rebuild a house on a cracked foundation, and as soon as you're done, as soon as you think that it's great and, it's bells and whistles, again, a new, honeymoon period is over, it's going to crumble. As soon as the ground shakes, it's going to crumble again, because you didn't take the time to rebuild yourself. To me, this is rebuilding yourself, okay? Whether it's financially or emotionally. A lot of times when we go through heartbreak, especially as an adult, when we're a child, not a child, but when we're like a teenager and we have like, young love, we're still generally have the backing of our parents, of our family. We don't have to start over. But when we're dealing with things as an adult, we're generally left with financial struggles, with, anxiety, with trying to figure out how to make life for ourselves. And you have to do this on your own. You can't jump from bed to bed to bed to bed trying to find that missing piece that you're looking for. Going from the 3 to the 4, you can't keep looking for that in other people's beds. And I mean that in the sense of, you leave one situation and you're on to the next, because you're looking for somebody not even to fix you, but to fix the situation, to mend your broken heart. And yes, at times at times we're blessed with people. I haven't been, but at times we're blessed with people who come into our life who are like, you know what, I see you crying over here with your not over spilled milk, but over your broken castle, and I know that I can't help you over here. This is too much rubble. By the time we get through all this rubble, it's broken. The bricks are broken. Everything's cracked. The ground is no longer sustainable to build on. Let's take a walk down there and let's start over. And let's talk about what happened over here. And sometimes we meet the people who help us heal, who are really there for us. Some people who are on a journey, but not all of us are blessed with that, and you don't really know whether the next person you're going to meet, because everyone is generally wearing a mask, because everyone wants to present their best version of themselves. Everyone wants to be loved, to be liked, to be admired, to be desired. No one is going to tell you, oh, hey, I'm dealing with this too. How do, and then you end up with 2 broken people trying to build something. And then you just build a dilapidated hut. And the first hurricane that comes by, you're just on your butt again. And that's life, And that's why this is a very important card, especially for me. I'm feeling this right now. For me, and I know for other people, this is stability of the self. This is, if you went through heartbreak, you went through a divorce, you went through a breakup, you went through separation, you're no longer with a person that contributed to your well-being, financially, emotionally, etc., and you found yourself on your butt and you have nowhere to go and you have nothing, you have to do this yourself. You have to find all your little diamonds and all your little pentacles within yourself. You have to start over. You have to go to work on yourself, whether it's actually going to work, seeking better opportunities for yourself. This is stability on your own so that you are ready to move on to the next path, so that you're ready to move forward with the next person or by yourself. This is, to me, the stability that you need in order to get over this fully. Because another person can't get over this. Another person can only show you love, but you are responsible for finding your stability, your foundation, and your peace. You can't look for that through other people. When we look for that in other people, they have the control over our emotional state again. That is what the new word is, trauma bonding. When we're attaching our well-being, our self-esteem, the way we feel about ourselves, our foundation, when we're attaching it to another person, it's like putting a big double wide on a trailer. Whatever the person that you find, wherever he's going or she's going with the hatch to you, you're the double wide behind them, just going, swerving all over the road. Wherever they end up, wherever they're going is where you're going, because you didn't build on the ground. You didn't find stability in your moment. Financial stability, emotional stability, a sense of peace, an equilibrium within yourself. You didn't figure out how to get from this to this. And until you figure out on your own from this to this, you won't find your stability and your well-being. And this comes from love of the self, self-worth, self-esteem. The finding the diamond that is within you, and the diamond itself is just like a freak of nature, technically. It's something that happens out of great pressure, out of great almost trauma, that diamonds are created. They're not created in a peaceful setting. You can't find stability in a peaceful setting. You have to go through it through war. A war on yourself, a war with the demons that you've experienced before. That's the way to find stability. Because there's a lot of fake stability. There's a lot of fake stability in the world where people are in a peaceful setting. People are in a la-la land that is provided to them either by their family or lack of troubles. But as soon as something comes to shake your ground, as soon as there's an earthquake, that's what happens when there's earthquakes. If you don't build a building that is ready to withstand an earthquake, if you just build however, without any rhyme or reason to what you're doing, everything looks good on stable ground. When everything is peaceful and everything is hunky-dory, there's no troubles. Everything is beautiful. Okay, but as soon as a hurricane comes, as soon as the big bad wolf shows up, as soon as there's an earthquake, the buildings that aren't meant to withstand, that aren't built on the laws of physics, the laws of nature, the laws of how things shake and crumble, you're not ready. And so you have to be ready. And the only way to make sure is through you. You can't find this in anybody else, okay? People will come in your life, exes, new people, it doesn't matter. If you have a solid foundation within you, if you're standing on your own, even on all fours, this is the table that you build for yourself. Because everyone is like, what do you bring to the table? Me, I am the table. I'm the table, okay? the table that you build for yourself, the table that you serve at. That is your sense of stability. That is your sense of equilibrium. And whatever comes your way, a big bad wolf comes to blow on your little house, a hurricane, an earthquake, a earth-shattering situation, a freaking meteorite or a meteor, whatever, out of the sky, you're going to be ready. You're going to be ready because you worked on yourself. Because you found your own peace. You found your own ground. You walked away from the broken castle. You walked away from the three-legged table. You walked away from the shambles and the bricks that are thrown all over the the ground. And you move to a new frequency. You move to a new location. It doesn't mean you have to move to a different place. I mean that in a spiritual sense. You have to start fresh sometimes. You can go through the rubble later. Sometimes digging through the rubble doesn't do anything for you. And it's something that you have to do. It's something that is subjective. That doesn't mean forget about it. But the more you dig through your own rubble, the more lost you can get. And I think that the best way to go through the rubble that this happened in is to first find a new grounding, a new place of peace within yourself. I mean that. You know what I mean? If your castle broke down the street, find your peace, and then every day you can pick a time and place when you feel grounded, when you feel at peace, when you feel like you can address that situation. You could go back down the street and you could visit your rubble and you could try to go through the bricks and find what happened. But if you keep sitting in this, if you keep sitting in the rubble, it's very difficult to try to figure out what happened. All you see is rubble. All you see is destruction. All you see is lack of peace, lack of stability. You see pain, you see tears, you see all of that. You can't move through life that way, sitting at a pile of rubble. You can't. You have to find a new grounding for yourself. You have to move to this location to get over this. And nobody can help you do that. Every time that we think that somebody is helping us, the powers that be will show you. They will lead you right back to being on your butt by yourself until you realize that only you can build for yourself. Other people can add to it, but only when there's nothing to take away. You know what I mean? It's like starting from zero. If you stay at zero ground, if you stay at your pile of rubble, if a person comes to you, a new romantic interest, a new love, somebody who swears that they're going to be there for you, okay? And they bring you a diamond, okay? They bring you a pentacle. They bring you some sort of emotional security or financial security, and they add to you. Say, we're dealing with a number 4, okay? So they bring you a 4 of something. They bring you peace. They bring you stability for whatever amount of time. If you're at 0, we're doing simple math. If you're at 0, 0 plus 4 is 4. And so while that person is with you, you're at 4. While that person is with you, you have what you need. If that person takes it away, you're going to be back at 0. If that person, something happens, anything, it's life, anything could happen, okay? 4 minus 4 is 0. You're back to 0. And that's if somebody good comes, okay? And if you start at 0, if you stay at your little, trash site, sorry. If you stay at your little trash site and somebody If he comes along and they take away from you instead of giving you anything, say they're a pretty face and all they did was show up just to give you a headache, it's 0 minus 4. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. And then you're in the negative again. Like, not only are you at your trash site, but 25 birds came and pooped on you. Like, it just made it even more crappy. This is like, I know I'm making it like a kindergarten level, like simple math, but when you have to sometimes put things in perspective, okay? 0 minus 4 is negative 0. And then you gotta build yourself back up just to end up where you were before, okay? So you have to build your own 4. This is like, I know I'm going on and on, but like, I go through like different, like, my thoughts lead me in different directions, and then I have to like say it. Like, if you get yourself to a 4, it will take some significant disasters to get you to 0. And yes, people are capable, okay? But the further that you go on your own path, the harder it is for somebody else to take you down back to 0, is what I'm saying. You know, if you start at 4, if you start at stability, if you start with your own foundation, if somebody comes, oh look, that's somebody, I swear to God, this is just, you know, if somebody comes, Mr. King of Hearts, and he gives you, what, 10, okay, then you're at 14. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful life. And then just under that is the 4 of Hearts, which is like, you know, not great. And the 9 of Swords, okay? Or 9 of Spades. So Mr. What's-His-Face comes, and then all this happens, and then Mr. and all of his little situations go away again, because that's what happens a lot of times. You're still here. You're still a 4. You still got your foundation. And then you're available for this. You're available for a new love. After this disaster, you're still a 4. You still have a foundation because you've built it for yourself. You built your table, okay? So he came to sit, and then he's like, nah, I don't know, or whatever, and then he's out, okay? But you still have this, and you have this, and then you have this, Mr. Twister. Mr. Twister, you have room for Mr. Twister, because you're not at 0 and you're not at negative. You're not in the negative, and you can have all these people come, okay? And then look, beautiful. And so he came to add, and then he came to subtract, okay? Whatever he adds, when you subtract him, we're subtracting him, okay? If you start at 0, you go into the negative. If you're starting with a foundation, you're starting with a place of having and not having, whether it's peace of mind, whether it's financial security, whether it's a business, whether it's just a sense of peace and self-esteem that nobody can take away from you. He comes and he goes, okay? He added 10. 4 plus 10 is 14. He went away. We're back to 4. Okay, it's not amazing. It's not as amazing as 14, but it's still a 4. It's not 0, and it's not negative 0. And then we have the room to invite Mr. Twister, and we could be right back to 14, or higher, or 20, or whatever. You know what I mean? And then you become a stable queen. I'm just saying, this is not anyone's particular situation, and this was just me giving an example. But the main topic of this, and I'm really going crazy here, is nobody can build your castle for you. You can't, it's not that nobody can build it. It's that when you allow other people to build it for you, you're giving them the power to take it away. That's really what I'm saying. That's the reality of things. When you allow people to build for you, you're giving them the power to take it away because you didn't build it yourself. That happens with everything. That happens with wealthy families who give a beautiful financial foundation to their children, but they don't instill work ethic in them. And their children throw all the money away. Not literally, it just so happens, because they don't know how to build it. They only know how to use it. They only know that it's there, and they don't know what happens when it's not there. They don't know how to get it back because they didn't take part in the building of it. And so you have to build it yourself. You have to build financial security yourself. Find a way to do that. I know it's hard. I'm going through this as we speak. I am borderline homeless, I swear to God. Like I said, this situation is my situation. And I know there's many people, especially women in my situation, especially now. I really don't understand the whole concept of feminism and women being able to work and all of this is great, but in reality right now, having full-time work is not enough for basic needs. It's not enough for a place to live. So it's what is the purpose? Now we just have to work more and still not even have enough. So you still need somebody. And that's what I'm saying. We have to find a way. This is something that I'm seeking for myself. I'm not just oh, hey, in La La Land, build financial security. I understand how difficult it is. You know what I mean? Sometimes we need another job. Sometimes we need to find creative ways of going about. But what I'm saying is, don't get stuck in a rut. Don't get stuck at your three-legged table thinking that it's the end and sit there waiting and listening to tarot readings and going to psychics and just sitting there, online on a dating site waiting for Mr. Right to come and take you away from your misery. It's just not going to occur. And if it does, you don't know how long that's going to last. And so what you'll be doing is allowing that person to have control over you again. And sometimes it's a great person and we're blessed. Some women are blessed with beautiful spouses who take care of them, who don't mistreat them, who truly invest into them. And women are able to grow into abundant, healthy, happy individuals and pay that forward with the love and the caring and the family life that they can offer to their spouse. But the reality is that just doesn't happen to all of us, and we repeatedly find ourselves in situations where whatever we allowed into our life to bring to us, to give to us, we're giving them the power to take it away. And as soon as they take it away, we're right back where we started, and even lower, because now we're older. Now we've we've exhausted our energy dealing with situations, dealing with the people that take away from us, and then we really end up in the negative. And the negative is not a great place to be, because it comes with trauma. It comes with it's like climbing out of a well that you can't even find a way, And sometimes we're blessed if somebody throws us a rope, but to be quite honest, most of the time, nobody's coming to throw the rope. It's in the pitch black of night that you find yourself in the tunnel. You see the white light, but you don't know how the hell to get there. You just don't know. And you have to use the nails. You have to use what God gave you to crawl out of that yourself. And until we collectively find our way out and rebuild and help each other in ways that sometimes, like me, I don't know any of you, but I truly hope that there are people that listen to me and find some sort of a string to hold on to. I pray that to somebody I am that rope that gets thrown in, okay? Because sometimes all you need is a voice. Sometimes you don't have your own little voice telling you something in the back of your mind. Sometimes you need someone else's voice because you feel like no one is there. You feel like no one's listening. You feel like nobody cares. And that's why we sit there and we listen to collective messages, because we're trying to find guidance from above. We're trying to find guidance from the algorithm. We're trying to find guidance from somewhere, anywhere, really. Can anyone hear me? You know what I mean? And I can't hear each and every one of you, but through some guidance, I hope that what I speak resonates. Actually, I hope it doesn't. I hope that you're happy. I hope that everyone's doing great. But to those that it resonates with, I hope that they're able to find some sort of peace and some sort of guidance to help them find the strength within to keep moving forward. Because regardless of what you want your outcome to be, you're not guaranteed that. You're not guaranteed that with any reading. You're not guaranteed that with any person. You're just not guaranteed anything in this world. The only thing that is guaranteed is that one day you're not going to be here. One day I'm not going to be here. One day nobody's going to be here. that you look around. You know what I mean? And you're responsible for your own path. That is the number one thing. And so I'm grateful to the cards that popped out today, because they actually are the foundation of what I'm dealing with. And I know listening to different messages, I know that I'm not the only one. So yeah, that's the number one thing. That's the message of the day, is to find the power within you to build your own home that you can then invite people into, and you wouldn't be at a lack if they happen to leave. Because through life, we never know who's coming to stay or who's coming to go. And we can't be so in the water, drowning every time somebody leaves. We just can't, because we all have responsibilities, especially as women, as mothers, as, family providers. We can't allow ourselves to just stumble and drown every time something happens. We have to have our own lifeboat. We have to be our own lifeboat. We have to be the lifeboat that somebody else also can find peace in, can find their home in. And in order to be that, you can't do that from a state of lack. Okay, I think those are my thoughts of the day, and we're at like 42 minutes, so I'm not sure who sat through 42 minutes of me talking, but if you did, I'm very grateful and appreciative, and I'm sending you a lot of love, and I hope that I put some light into your heart. Okay, bye.